Hi, my name is Antonis and I'm the painter in this video. Today you will see me painting Lida using a drawing by Michelangelo. The original painting by Michelangelo is destroyed, it doesn't exist today, but we have his drawing that he made before painting this lost painting today, and I'm going to use that drawing to recreate this painting according to my studies of his work on the Sistine Chapel. So he painted this original work in 1530. It was a commission that Michelangelo didn't actually uh, proceed to give the commission to the person who ordered this. This was Alfonso d'Este, Duke of Ferrara, who commissioned this painting. The painting was the subject of the painting was the myth of the moment when the Spartan queen Leda came together with Zeus, and Zeus was transformed as a swan, and it's that moment where blah 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 blah. Hi, my name is Antonis, and I'm the painter in this video. Today you will see me painting Leda, the head of Leda, a Spartan queen that Michelangelo painted in 1530. Unfortunately, today we have lost that original painting by Michelangelo, painted on a canvas with egg tempera, as it is said. But we still have his preparational, let's say, drawings, and I'm going to use one of these drawings to recreate the face, this head of Leda, in according to my studies of his work from the Sistine Chapel. You can find here on this channel another video where I study the Libyan Sibyl painted by Michelangelo on the Sistine Chapel. So here you will see me painting on a wood board that I have prepared with rabbit skin glue, and of course I'm using egg tempera to recreate this painting after just the drawing that we have from Michelangelo. Of course, I don't aspire to create something as great as the original work, but definitely this is something that feels great to me. It feels familiar to me, and I really wanted to see what could come after this study. So here I am following all the steps that tempera painters used. So after I transfer my drawing on my wood panel, I will do some rough black and white drawing on this, and then after I'm happy with this rough drawing, I will paint my first layer of, let's say, colored tempera, the so-called verdaccio, or in the Byzantine tradition, proplasmos. This base color that you see me painting here, this brownish mostly color, it can vary. It can be brownish, greenish, lighter in value or darker in value. But here I'm using this golden, almost dark color, whereupon I will paint the shadows and the lights. You see that I'm using this base color in a very, in a relatively, let's say, thin consistency, in a way that I can still see underneath the black drawing that I earlier did. I can still see the facial features shining through this transparent layer of color that I've painted. And now I am proceeding with painting the shadows, the facial features on this area of this brownish color. This is the way that painters used to approach their subjects to paint, like they would cover the whole area with a main basic color, and then they would add their shadows, like I'm doing here, and after that they would add their lights. They would paint the light after that. This was the the ancient Greek way of painting, and it was a way of painting that would give us excellent results. Of course, this all happened before we we invented, let's say, oil painting, where this was a completely different method of painting, completely different approach. Here, with this water-based medium, as egg tempera is, we have to invent, let's say, ways of depiction that will be convincing and nice. So as you see here, I am painting these shadows, these darker areas on the face, according to the drawing of Lida by Michelangelo, and I'm using my brush that is appropriate for egg tempera. It's not a synthetic brush, but it's a natural hair brush that is soft enough to not hurt the egg tempera color. It's a Kolinsky mostly brush, and it's very accurate. It's very sharp to the point, and allows me to do as much detail as I want. Let me just say how important this stage of the painting is. The, the, the step where we paint these features and the shadowy parts of the face, it's the moment where we can give some expression, and then we can blend these darker facial features with the color, with the base color that we previously painted. We don't just paint the features with one line and that's it. It's nice to blend these features with the color of the proplasmos. Now, maybe it seems too messy at this point, but really don't worry. You have to trust the process and believe that everything will come together at the end of the process. So now you see me after I am happy with painting the shadows and the facial. I've placed the facial features. Now I'm proceeding with painting the first layers of light on the face. Of course, it does seem very messy at this point. It doesn't feel charming at all, but the process is very charming, I can say. So for this, let me just refer to the colors that I have used so far. For the base color, although it doesn't really matter what combination you use, it's important to reach to this color that can be more brownish or more reddish. I'm talking about the base color of the proplasmos. Here I am mixing some yellow ochre, a little bit of cadmium yellow, a little bit of black. This will give me a dark greenish, beautiful, rich color, and I can break this by adding a little bit of dark iron oxide red. Anyway, the goal is to create a color on my palette that is thus bright in value. I mean, not very bright. As you see, it's a dark color, and it has this hue of green, brownish, yellowish, etc. So for the shadows and the facial features on top of that, I've just added on the previous color of the Verdaccio, let's say, I've added a little bit of darker colors like some black and a little bit of iron oxide red. This will create a darker and warmer color, and with this I have painted my facial features and some shadows. Now I am. You have to understand the concept of using very thin colors, thinner and thicker colors according to what we want to paint. With thinner colors, I can do some blendings. I can create some very nuanced, let's say, some very beautiful areas of painting that I wouldn't be able to create those by using thick colors. When if you are not familiar with egg tempera, the consistency of the color is very important, and we often use these extremely runny, very thin colors, as you see me now using. So now I'm proceeding with painting these shapes of light on the face of Lida, and for this I'm creating on my palette a color that is mostly um, yellow ochre, some white, and a little bit of just a little bit of cadmium red. Something I want a color that is warm and rich, visually rich. So as you see here, I am painting by adding some egg solution on my color. uh, I add color that is in some areas more thin and some other areas is more thick, and with this, I try to establish these shapes of light on the face. And as you see, although it looks very rough at this point, as you see, it already has a sense of volume, this head of Lida. Now, let me just say that egg tempera is much different, as I previously said, than oil painting, and we never have these complete smooth transitions, these or even these sfumato transitions between light and shadow. We often have this brush strokey, let's say, transitional effect, which is uh, very charming and very nice as a painting style. But it's don't expect when using Tempera to see these completely smooth and foggy, let's say, transitions between light and shadow. It's another style of painting. The egg tempera color dries very quickly, and it doesn't allow the the excess manipulation by the brush. We have to apply the color with the brush and then just leave it there to be. So that's why you see these brush strokes, and part of the charm of the painting is these brush strokes that you will see. So after this point, most of the process for me is to first establish these shapes of light, make sure that I place them correctly and according to the original drawing of Michelangelo, and then I have to somehow blend these shapes of light towards the darker areas of the Verdaccio. This is my whole preoccupation now. It's a process that can really take some time, and I'm not in a hurry, although this is a sped up video, of course, for the sake of the video, and but in reality, I was very careful, and I really took some time when I was painting this. I wasn't in a hurry. So this whole thing is painted mostly by using thinner and thicker color of light, let's say. Now I'm ready to proceed with adding some in-between color. So I will mix on my palette some color of the first light, as we call it, of the light, and I will mix also some color of the base color. And with this in-between color, I will further work on making smoother transitions between light and shadow according to what I see on the work of Michelangelo. Now, this process is, I would say, very, very important. It can be very tedious. It can be very, it requires some experience. And you, I would say my tip for when we are on this step is that we have to be very aware of what we are doing. We have to be aware of the colors that exists on our palette. Here I have this in-between color, as I said, and then from this comes a variation of colors. Like it's a scale. I move from slightly darker in between colors to slightly lighter in between colors, and thus I'm trying to create this sense of blending. At the same time, I also play, as I said earlier, with the consistency of each color. Some colors are thicker than others, but just to help you understand what I'm doing here, it's I'm using in between colors, in between the light, the color of the light that I earlier used, and the color of the proplasmos, the verdaccio color, the base color that I have used. I use these in between colors in order to create this sense of volume on the painting. I observe very, very careful. It's very important to really observe your reference. In this case, I observe the drawing of Michelangelo, and it's really important to observe it and see how he has drawn the light on that face, how abruptly the shapes of light end in some areas, how smoothly the light proceeds in some other areas, and I try to transfer this sense on this same effect on my study as well. But it's really important to really observe every tiny detail. Really, for example, proceed with observing the eyelids and what is the shape of the eyelid, which try to really find the exact shape that Michelangelo has drawn and really transfer it as best as you can. Of course, we are not, him. My sense of painting is much different, but it's always nice to, and I always feel some connection with those artists, those great artists, when I'm doing their studies. Of course, the more I study their work, the more I am amazed by their works, and I really feel they feel unreal sometimes. The beauty of their work is just of another world, and I try to not be, I try to not be disappointed, but instead to enjoy their work and to try to be the best of me. I understand that I don't aspire to be Michelangelo. I aspire to be a decent artist who enjoys the process of painting and wants to learn and become better each time. This is my spirit when painting, and I invite you to do the same. Now, as you see, this is a back and forth process, and and really spend some time on this before proceeding with adding more light on this image. You see how little by little it does become more nice, and you see how charming these brush strokes are. This already feels very Michelangelo-like somehow, and yeah. Sometimes it's important to know when to stop. I mean, I couldn't stop on this previous stage, but it really looked nice, and even if I stopped there, it would be great. But I decided, according to my to the drawing of Michelangelo, to proceed with adding more light and brighten things up. So here I'm creating a color on my palette that is more a color that is more bright, let's say, and for this I'm using some of the color of the first light, which is titanium white with some yellow ochre and a little bit of cadmium yellow, maybe a little bit of cadmium red, something like that. And for the second light, I will add a little bit of titanium white along with some cadmium red. I want this to be slightly more pinkish than the first color of the light. And here I will enhance, let's say, the areas where receive more light, and directly, as you see, as I'm adding this, I will directly start blending these shapes of light that I have added right now with a color that is much thinner in consistency, as you see here. And I can also add on this in between blending color a little bit, just a little bit of the first light, of the darker first light. Now I hope all this makes sense to you. Sometimes it's better to just mute me and let the visuals be your guide and help you. I understand that those of you who are not familiar with egg tempera, this might seem strange, and these brush strokes, the evident brush strokes, and this way of blending using layers of color instead of mixing the color as we do in oil painting. I understand that this can be strange to you, but egg tempera uses layers upon layers of color. For this head, I estimate that I've used more than 17 layers of color in some areas, and I I also believe this is a limit for egg tempera. Like you can do more than 20, let's say, layers of color. After that, egg tempera will start flaking away, and it's not something nice. Let me also just say that for painting this, it took me like 3 sessions, 3 different days to paint this. So the egg tempera had some time, like after, say, 6, 7, or 8 layers, I will stop, allow these layers to relax a little bit, to dry a little bit, and then after a couple of days, I will proceed. This will give me space to add even more layers of painting. So This is what I have done here. So as you see here, I am now blending these shapes of light, and it's a process it's a back and forth process. Many students, I see that they are not familiar with going back and forth and actively observing their reference and actively deciding what they want to use as a color, which consistency they want to use, and what color they want to use. They just want a ready recipe of and a ready method of steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, and that's that. This can be helpful on the very first um, stages of learning how to paint. This might be useful, but as we proceed, we have to be a little bit more active into the painting process and really use our eyes and use our criterion to decide and to decide how we will proceed with the painting. Now, what works against this, of course, is our doubts. We often doubt of what we do. Let me just tell you that as I was painting this, I had serious doubts about what I'm doing, if what I'm doing will end up nicely, or if I was thinking that I'm not good enough while I'm doing this, and maybe someone else might do this better. These are thoughts that work against us while we're painting, and many painters have to deal with this. We often doubt of our capabilities, our skills, and but we have to just find a way to shout these voices and to proceed as best as we can. We have so many other difficulties as artists that it's a skill to learn how to shout the negative voices in our heads. Of course, an important thing we have to manage as artists is to decide to go and be in the studio, to spend some time in the studio, something that younger students of painting find it difficult with so many distractions, find it hard to really spend some time with an image that doesn't move or doesn't it's not bright, it doesn't emit light, it's not a screen. So many young people find it difficult, but it's so therapeutic, I would say. It helps the mind concentrate, and it's such an amazing thing to be able to concentrate before the easel in the studio and paint something. As I say, we often find justifications, find the reasons to not be in the studio and spend our time elsewhere. But we have to find ways to manage with these thoughts and to manage with our time. The same goes with these negative voices that I say. Um, I insist on that because on this head I had those voices be strong in me. Maybe someone would paint this better, and that's nice, that's beautiful, that there will always be people who are more skilled, who will be more talented, let's say, or who will spend more time and they will give the effort that everything requires. So that's nice. But each one of us is unique. We are individual people, and the fact that I gave my best to and I give my best to each of my paintings is good enough for me. I just have to, like so many other painters, I just have to remind this to myself and be happy with any result. Even if the result is bad or not to my aspirations or not to as I would imagine this to be, that's fine. We shouldn't be very harsh with ourselves as artists. The world already is harsh and confusing for artists. We struggle with what kind of subject we will paint. We struggle with materials, techniques. Um, we struggle with criticism from people who don't know what they're talking about. We struggle sometimes from the criticism of other painters. So I invite you to be more gentle with yourselves as I am trying to be with mine, and to not worry about the outcome. The process itself is just so beautiful and so, as I said, therapeutic that it compensates for everything. So here I am adding one third layer of light and even brighter layer of light that is very close to just pure titanium white. And again, I directly will start blending um, with the previous layers that I've painted. Again, my brush is a very, very helpful tool. Now, it does obey, it does what I command it to do, and it's so soft as to not hurt the underneath layers. This is very, very important. When we add so many layers of egg tempera, we have to handle color with care and to just place the color without pushing the color or manipulate the color too much after we place it on the surface. If you decide to do this study, you don't have to really follow each and every step that I am doing. I mean, you can just take an idea of how to approach such a subject, and this method of building light and shadows and give the sense of volume on a head. Just take the general idea and then apply this on your own subject, or even if you want to study this specific subject or the works of Michelangelo, still have this general idea, and then just use your own skills, your own imagination. Take something that might be useful, but only what might you might think will be useful to you, and use that for your works. I imagine that this study would be great with oil color as well, although as the original one was painted with tempera, I really wanted to paint this with tempera. The works of Michelangelo in the uh, Sistine Chapel were painted with with water-based colors, and egg tempera is great with that as well. Probably you now listen to my dog Zafiris as well. Let me just say that I live by myself in this beautiful village in Crete. I am from Crete, and really it's so nice to have found these things that keep me in balance and give me joy in this life. Things like, some friends, dog, uh, being close to nature. It's really nice. I understand that some other people find this joy elsewhere. The important is to find something that makes us happy, and of course, mostly being in the studio, be creative, and really struggle with these painting issues is something that can be challenging and can be very, very uh, rewarding to me. It does keep me busy, I would say. Sometimes when things can become stressful, I will occupy my mind with these painting issues, with blending, how to blend or how to draw, things like that that are so creative. And I often joke with the friends I have that my main problem today was how the transitions I painted were not as successful, or the sfumato was my main concern. That's nice to have these concerns and not others. Of course, for other people, I understand that this might not be enough, but for me, painting is really, really something that has given me so much. It was an amazing gift, and I'm always so grateful and thankful for having known this aspect of life from up close. I'm really thankful. So now, as you see, I'm trying to make these areas of light more convincing, make them make some sense, not just paint brighter areas on the on the drawing, but just make these having some sense. And at some point, I've decided to change a little bit the background, and I've also decided that I have to darken a little bit this area of the jaw and the cheek. It was too bright for me, and little by little, though, you see this final result. I want to thank you so much for being here. As I say, you can just mute me and listen to and just watch the video. I hope this was helpful to you and you found something interesting in this video. I want to thank all my Patreon supporters. Without your help, I wouldn't be able to produce these videos. Really, really thank you so much. Hopefully, this was helpful to you, and I will see you soon with another video. Stay healthy and be creative. Bye.